Initiative overload is a phenomenon when organizations get overloaded with too many projects. There's a variety of reasons why this happens, but the net effect is always negative. People on the front lines get overloaded, customer service may suffer, and eventually financial results may degrade. It was really a delight to work with my colleague Rose Hollister to do the research and writing of the article, Too Many Projects. It's about initiative overload. So we became aware that this was an issue through our work with leaders in many organizations. For Rose, she was leading the Leadership Institute at McDonald's and getting in connection with many leaders that were facing these sorts of issues, and that led to this sort of concerted effort to reduce the impact of initiatives on the organization. I come in connection with many leaders from many organizations through the programs I teach at IMD, and this is often a theme that comes up in conversation, that these leaders are really feeling overwhelmed by all of what they're being asked to do, and even being asked to do more with less resources. Having identified that this was an issue, we then conducted a series of interviews and supporting surveys to validate that in many organizations this was in fact a serious issue. The problem with initiative overload is becoming more and more common. One of the main reasons is that organizations are leaning themselves out, flattening their hierarchies, and trying to do more with less. Of course, this can be productive, but if there are too many projects going on, organizations can get spread way too thin. We've developed a step-by-step process to help organizations assess whether they have an issue with initiative overload, and if so, what to do about it. The first step is to take stock of existing initiatives, both their number and their consumption of resources, and the value they are or are not delivering. If you find there are too many going on, the next step is to enlist the senior leadership team in a concerted effort to cull out unnecessary initiatives and put in place processes to prevent it from happening in the future. This turns out to be very hard. It requires serious, dedicated senior leadership time to sit in a room collectively and decide what's really going to be killed, and then follow through and make it happen. Then there are some things you can do to really help prevent it from happening again. One is to make sure that every new initiative has a sunset clause, a time when a rigorous evaluation is done of whether it should end or not. A second thing to do is to make sure that resourcing requirements are included and committed as part of each initiative you undertake. And finally, it's important to create a new culture. Communicate to employees that stopping an initiative is not necessarily a sign that something went wrong or that it failed, but rather that it's a natural part of reallocating the organization's resources. One classic example we encountered was a global real estate firm. Over time, they had launched initiative after initiative to the point where the organization was really struggling. Some analysis revealed that over 30% of managers' time was being consumed just going to meetings and events related to the launch and maintenance of initiatives, never mind the initiatives themselves. Realization of this led the top management team to engage in a concerted effort to reduce the number of initiatives. This meant sitting in a room together for a couple of days, going through initiative by initiative, understanding the overall organizational impact and whether value was really being created or not. Based on that, there was a set of assessments about which initiatives needed to be stopped and a plan and a commitment to do so, with follow-up mandated to ensure that the projects that were to be killed actually got killed. If you think your organization is taking on too many initiatives and suffering as a result, you're almost certainly right. The question really is what to do about it. And the answer is to carefully understand the magnitude of the problem and enlist senior leadership to do something about it.